My name is Maria Koshenkova, and I'm artist. I'm originally Russian from St. Petersburg, and now I live and work in Copenhagen, Denmark. I work with glass, as you see. It's my main media. I do sculptures and sometimes bigger installations, room installations. But basically, I create objects, and my material is glass. I think for me somehow, for my project, it's quite essential for my optics that I moved from Russia to Scandinavia, because both of these societies somehow, cultural, they influenced me in my art practice. Before, I think I never was really conscious about that, and now when I get older, I'm more and more conscious about what is it in me being Russian and what is it in me adapted from Scandinavia. And as I can see that it's always this somehow fighting parts. From Russia, I think I took this wish and desire for drama or a conflict, as my boyfriend say. And from Scandinavia, I think I have this aesthetic, somehow a cult of a material and an aesthetic. So combination of this, I think it's quite essential for what I do. And this also what differences me from a Russian artist or from a Danish artist. I graduated from Applied Art Academy in St. Petersburg, but I actually encountered glass first in Denmark. If I talk about why I do my works and what is it important for me, I think the most important for me is the main urge is a strong emotion and some kind of narrative or a story. And this is also, I think, a Russian part of me, that I need a story, I need a concept, I need a story what I need to tell, because I think in Scandinavia it's a cult of objects. So basically it's a lot of these very nice objects which kind of you don't have to tell much. This is a pretty thing and you enjoy to looking at it. And for me somehow it's never been enough. Therefore I always go for a story first. So therefore actually my works are very different from each other, and I often have somehow problems with that, because people don't believe that I made this and then I made this and this, because they made in different techniques and they look aesthetically, visually they're very different. But for me they're very much connected. This was one of the first works I made, and I made it in Denmark. It was very much connected to a place. I made it in like Petersburg, which is a meat market. Basically I was inspired by a heart of a pig. That was with boxes of meat. Fresh animal hearts, like a pig, sheep hearts, and I saw it and I'm like, oh my god, this is really strong, this is very strong image, I don't even know how to digest it. And first I made the drawings, and then I feel like, okay, I want to make an object which would bear the same emotional charge, which impressed me so much but doesn't rot. So basically I wanted to preserve the strong emotions which I get from a world around me, and this is my main motivation. And this is similar for all of my projects, even though they look different. And then I choose the technique and method after the idea. So here I use a glass blowing technique. So with a blown object, and then I sculpt it hot. So the process is relatively quick and very emotional, very impressive. I need the people who help me to blow, because I'm actually not a very skilled glass blower. So I make all of my works myself, but like I cannot blow a big shape, or I cannot blow a perfect glass, you know. So I don't mind if I have a professionals to help me, for example, in blowing. This series of works, which is Norwegian wood, as you see, it's completely different aesthetic. It's in a different way I made it, because the story is very different. That was a story of a house which was destroyed in Norway. Actually, most of my works I made in residence in different places. And this is also very special for my method, I think, because I don't stay in my studio and refine my process. I travel a lot, and in every new place I learn something, I'm inspired of something, and that's changed my method, of course. So this I made in Norway, and it was very good facilities for a casting glass. So I made it molds, the big molds, in a classic sculptural technique, so reproduce. So it was basically a glass shaped called, and the story is that it was a house which was destroyed by a Polish worker who came to work, and I thought the house was very beautiful, and it reminded me my childhood house in Russia even, and I had some sentimental, very melancholic, but very strong emotions, and I also I wanted to preserve it, so I asked for a wall of this house, and I use it for molds. So basically, work is very different, but method is the same. Based on storytelling and based on my emotions, so somehow it's a bit paradox also that I use glass, because glass can be very pretty, and often, you know, if you use glass as a sculptural media, it sometimes can be very difficult, but also has this a beauty kind of part, which, like, some people find it too beautiful, too kind of easy, you know, but I don't think so. What for me is so important in glass, why I keep working on it, even though it's a struggle, it's so hard, really. Everything about it is just hard, it's just tough. You have to be, like, you have to have expensive equipment, you have to know how to use it, you have to hire people, you have to have a studio which is expensive. Everything is like expensive, hard, like shipping is crazy, you know, packing is everything. People are afraid to buy it because they're afraid it's gonna break. At the same time, they open a box. And often I think, why am I working with this material? It's so much easier with like drawing, you know. But what's for me is so seductive in that it's extremely material. Like, it could break. It's sharp. It's a lot of feelings, you know. When you deal with it, you feel a lot. But at the same time, it's can be transparent. It can just break in a moment. It's kind of not exist. It represents something which you cannot grab, something which not exist, and something which exists very much. And when I was younger, I was struggling a lot because I got a lot of comments from maybe other artists. They say like, glass, you know, it's a decorative object, and it cannot tell the story. It's, you know, I was always struggling if I'm a designer, if I'm a craftsman, if I'm an artist, what I am, because I use this material. And now I actually don't care. I just wanna do what I feel like. I wanna use this material if I need to. If I don't need, I can use other material. We have this part. Then this is the white powder, right? I was exhibiting in Japan and traveling to Japan quite a lot, and I made exhibitions there and projects there, and I could see that there is this approach that you have a deep respect to material, and then you kind of choose your language, and then you work on perfectioning it all your life. So you kind of choose the way you treat the material, and then you make it more perfect. The way I work is very different. I choose the language after the idea, and therefore basically I don't want to work all my life in the same technique. So, you know, I could, for example, take a piece and I could spend a lot of time on polishing it and apply silver and all this, and then I could leave it broken and don't treat this, because I think it's still about the nature of material. Or I can, for example, really polish the surface and then cut it with a saw and leave it too. Or if look, you know, often when I cast pieces, then you would have this like leftover from casting, which you normally have to cut and polish, and this I would leave too, because I think it tells something about the nature of material, because it's always go somewhere wrong. glass never do what you want completely, and often doesn't do at all what you want. So I feel I wanted to leave that. I wanted to let material be itself in a way, and therefore I don't wanna master it completely. I don't wanna like kind of make it completely what I want. Like there is a very great Czech glassblower and master, and he once saw how I made these works with the hearts, and he says that he cannot watch it because he thinks I'm raping the glass. And in a way he right, because I feel like if I can use a hammer and it works for the expression I want to reach, I would use a hammer. I wouldn't buy an expensive tool. So if I talk about my method more, so here, for example, it's the object is actually exploded. I like poured water on it and I made it explode, and then I hit it again and kind of heal it. So in a way, it's a very emotional process. When I blow glass, I feel like my heart gonna stop. Like, I feel like almost like I have sex, or I have very, very strong emotions in this process, and I love it. It's very sexy in a way. And at the same time, I could like do these works where I really have to make a mold. It's a very long process, so it's very non-emotional in a way. I'm inspired a lot by places I go. Like, for example, this I brought from Greenland. This is like a whale one, and I don't even know if I ever gonna use it. I just like it, so I brought it with me. Or like, this is like a Russian birch. This is like photos from Hermitage. This works with rope. I made in Japan actually, and they inspired by Japanese bondage practice, which I actually try on me and then I apply it to glass. So behind these works lie a lot of my personal experience. Behind of each of works, like these works, as I made them in USA, and they're based on the Statue of Liberty cast. So each work has somehow story and very much connected to a place where I made it. These works were made for Berlin. It was like a abandoned hospital building where I made an installation, and somehow I tried to preserve this feeling of kind of sick emptiness. I don't know. So the point is, each work has something from a place where I made it. So if I would be asked of what is my direction or what is my plans in the future, what do I want in life, I don't know. I think till now I was very lucky that I could actually do what I want in a scale I need. Of course I cannot like take a helicopter and fly to Hawaii right now, but in my works I'm completely free. I feel like if I would be an architect or a filmmaker or whatever, this media is very much connected to a customers, to a crew, to all kind of things, and I feel like I pretty much can do what I want. And what I want, I just wanted it to continue, and I wanted to continue in a bigger scale maybe. I have an experience to work with architects, and I think it's very interesting to make a bigger installation, bigger project, when I relate not only to myself, but to a bigger group of people, to a bigger spaces. But I'm pretty satisfied actually. I just feel like I just need to sell like a few works and to keep investing in my process and my materials, and I don't plan to be very rich. I just want to have freedom to keep doing what I'm doing. That's my plan. Every time I sell works, I actually get very surprised because I feel like, wow, who like need a glass rope? I would feel this person should be crazy, but of course it makes me happy. When somebody wants to pay money like for my work, I feel that means a lot to me. But in a way, I don't have illusion that people need art. Like I feel like I need to do that, and I only fulfill my meaning of my life, right? So I believe every person should have their own meaning of the life, because there is no meaning in big sense. I don't want to get like existential here or but I do it only for myself. And then if somebody's needing it, I'm happy. But if not, I'm gonna keep doing it. It's just gonna be harder. So, I know deep inside that I cannot live without keep doing these strange objects or things. And I think this is extremely fun. This is what makes my life fun, that I could make some object which never existed before. I could do something. It's like giving birth in a way. You feel like a little bit like a god.